Hello, everybody. Happy April 30th, 2020. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. On today's show, we have the Simsbury senior quarterback, Aiden Boeshans, joining us today. Aiden, thanks so much for being able to come on.
Thanks so much for having me.
No problem, buddy. I think, I always like to ask my guests, a question about, it could be random, could be about anything. But right now, with this quarantine, this is not random. Everybody is dealing with it differently. How are you dealing with the quarantine?
Well, after the first couple weeks of really wanting to see my friends, I sort of got into a little bit of a rhythm, and I've been going on a hike daily with my parents, my brother, and then I try to run hills just about every day with a teammate or two, and then that with the homework. My days are still pretty filled.
What's the biggest adjustment, I guess, that since this quarantine has started and you've been out of school, at least away from the school, but you're still doing schoolwork on Zoom and so forth? What's the biggest adjustment that you've had to deal with thus far?
I'd say probably spending time with the team during the off season. Like last year, and what we're planning on doing this year was just about every day after school, me and a bunch of my receivers are going to the turf and throw, and that was just really nice to get ready for the season. Get used to each other's tendencies, and that's been really hard to not be able to do.
Now, I'm sure because of, your age and because of, we live in, in a day and age 2020 right now, everybody's always on their phones. So are you able to keep up with your coaches and teammates and kind of at least keep the communication at least at a somewhat normalcy?
Yeah, I make sure I get a text from a bunch of my coaches pretty much every day. I talk to my QB coach on a weekly basis, the offensive coordinator, and we have QB meetings weekly. We have offensive and defensive meetings weekly on Zoom with the team, and it's been pretty nice. They've been super engaging with all of us.
What's it like as far as the communication with everybody? Are the coaches uplifting? Are the players trying to keep things at a somewhat positive, because it's hard right now to be positive with what's going on right now.
Yeah, the coach has been super uplifting. Coach Masters, the head coach, has been doing a ton of really great things to keep us together. We
Mhm.
did a little video where we toss the ball off the screen to another person. We did one of those, and that was really fun.
I like
Um,
that.
yeah, and then we just did one a couple days ago,
Mhm.
um, where we introduce ourselves and then introduce our favorite highlight from last season. And so we've just been doing fun little clips like that, and that with the meetings has helped us to sort of stay uplifted and positive for this coming season.
I like that. It's good to hear that the coaches and the players and yourself are trying to keep things at a positive mindset because right now we need that. But let's get down to business. I have you on because I've heard a lot about you from various coaches. I broadcast for the NVL, and I can tell you right now, when I hear about a player outside the NVL or a team and amongst other coaches, that means that player or team is doing something right. And, doing a little bit of research on you, I mean, all of it, you know, you're a 3.9 GPA student, you're a 2021 dual threat quarterback. Before we get into all the logistics and what you've been able to accomplish with the Simsbury Trojans, talk to me about what got you into, basically what got you into playing football.
When I was in second grade, I met my still best friend Nick Kelly,
Mhm.
and we'd always play recess football. And by the time I had met him, it was too late to sign up in second grade, so I had to wait till third grade. So he convinced his mom come and convinced my mom to let me play because she wasn't having it. And she said she let me play as long as I stopped before high school, but that didn't happen either.
That didn't work.
He got me into it at third grade, and I've been playing since then. I played, every position they can. My coach actually used to call me Slash because I was center slash fullback slash DM slash safety. So football has sort of been like a big part of my life ever since third grade.
Now, you mentioned all the positions you played. It sounds like you didn't play quarterback until you were a little bit older. Is that right?
Yeah. So we had a really good quarterback going through youth, and then he moved away. So seventh grade and eighth grade, I played a little bit of quarterback,
Mhm.
and then ninth grade, I was the freshman team quarterback. And then that all sort of that sort of changed sophomore year.
Mhm.
So what happened was after about the third day of camp, the offensive coordinator head coach brought me in and they said, Aiden, uh, we love you as a player, but we're gonna have you play some tight end. So
Oh,
sophomore year, I went through the whole season as the backup varsity tight end, and it didn't come until a little bit later in that season that I ended up playing a little bit of JV quarterback.
So you have not been a full-time quarterback until what sounds like your junior year. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Really? So let me get this straight. So 7th, 8th freshman year quarterback, then you were a backup tight end your sophomore year, and then junior year full name as a senior or basically full time as a quarterback. That must have been some kind of adjustment for you because you really didn't know your role into your junior year. That okay, now I'm a quarterback. I'm not a center. I'm not a tight end. I'm not a defensive end. I'm a quarterback. That's it.
Yeah, that
Very
was that was a big that was exciting because when I got moved to tight end, it was hard at first because I was like I want to play quarterback. Every kid wants to play quarterback,
mm-hmm,
but it was good for me, I think, because tight end and our team at least is the most complex position on the field to
mm-hmm,
learn. Besides obviously quarterback, because you have to know all the routes, know all the blocking schemes, and
mm-hmm.
so I was able to take that and then move back to quarterback. Now I can sort of like see it from that perspective. I can help the linemen as well as the receivers during practice. So I think it helped me in the long run.
During the time before you were named a full-time quarterback your junior year, how were you able to make sure that because I'm sure, your first love was quarterback. It seems like that's, position you're passionate about. How were you able to make sure that that didn't lag behind because you were trying to play other positions like tight end, for example?
It sort of did for a while. Because the whole almost the entirety of sophomore year, I stopped practicing quarterback. It was just I was full into tight end, and I was honestly prepared to play tight end for the next year, and like for the rest of my career. And then as we sort of moved on, further into the season, they started asking me to play JV quarterback, and so last year I did that, and it was a lot. It wasn't like a really that like structured, so I didn't really have to know
Hmm.
as much. Didn't really feel like truly like playing quarterback for a team. It was just running around, just checking it, and not running a total offense.
Do you think because you're a player that's so versatile and because you're so athletic and, they had you play tight end, that kind of in some ways brought the dual threat quarterback in you because you're so used to, running with the football after you catch it that it's almost like, okay, if you're, prime example, quarterback, first or second read's not there. All right, I'll just tuck in and go run. It's like it's like I'm receiving a ball from a quarterback and I'm a tight end and I'm running.
Yeah. So I felt myself sort of freshman year kind of feeling like a traditional quarterback. If that makes any sense. Like I didn't really want to get hit. I just kind of go through practice, not really with any contact. And then sophomore year when I moved to tight end, that was a little bit of a win. I'll
Hmm.
be kind of honest. And like I was getting hit and I didn't like it. So it was so nice to have because I also played safety that year.
Hmm.
And so like I played the whole like JV games at safety. I got back into loving hitting people. I got kind of back like I've always been a runner because I was the same weight I am now in like 8th grade, just 4 inches shorter. So I was really like I was a bit even like in 8th grade. It's kind of funny. We used to be in a weight based league instead of a grade based league,
Hmm.
and so I was the only kid on the team they'd have to weigh in to check, and I was
Really?
the quarterback. But so I've always sort of had that like that running that running ability going for me, and the dual threat came when I got an arm. So the throwing was kind of the secondary threat coming into it.
So through your times as a quarterback, since I was about to say I thought you were playing quarterback since you were like 5, but it sounds like you were a late bloomer. But hey, there's nothing wrong with that. But the big question I want to ask you about the whole thing with the dual threat quarterback is, as you see in college and the NFL, guys who like to run it and can do, and throw it too, typically will run it first because that's their first instinct. For you as a quarterback, do you feel like there's times, during a game and even through your seasons that you've been playing quarterback that you feel like, okay, I probably should have thrown it there, but I'm going to run it because I can?
Yeah, I mean, I think that sophomore year definitely because, like I said, it was a little less structured. I found myself running the majority of the pass plays.
Hmm.
But this year, I'm so thankful to have a great offensive coordinator, Coach Moose. So I feel like I'm put into a system
Hmm.
where I know really what I'm supposed to do. Like I have my options, but like we run a lot of RPOs, and on those, I have the option to hand off or throw instead of throw or run. And on like a lot of the plays, we have a lot of quick pass. So it'll be like pass it, if it's not open in these 2 seconds, then you can run.
Mhm.
So I feel like more than sort of just of like disregarding the play and running, I have a lot of running built in for me because we do a lot of design QB runs. And then for the pass plays, it's pretty obvious like where to go with it.
Yeah, and watching the film of you from this past season and then just hearing about, the kind of offense more so from your mouth, kind of what you guys run, it seems like for your first year as a full-time quarterback, it seemed almost like the offensive coordinator was not trying to put too much on your plate in your first year and having you just use your athletic ability in a proper way to be able to show that, hey, I can get the most out of this kid his first year as a full-time quarterback.
Definitely. We've even talked about that, how in our meeting, so said, like, we got you through this year. And it's time this year. We're going to work on a little more drop back passes. I think we ran something like 43 drop back passes in the entire year last year. So we're going to really try and, become a lot more versatile with that. I feel a lot more comfortable throwing the ball this year and dropping back instead of just quick pass. So yeah, you're definitely right. I was put in a really good position to succeed. And this year I'm going to be put in like more of a complex position where I'm going to have to make the plays.
So senior year, the training wheels will be off. You're going to have to
Uh,
try to find a way to be able to go without the protection a little bit. But you know what? I think, going through that, what you did your junior year and being able to slowly get into what is a full-time quarterback position gave you the confidence. I think now you can build from that even through this quarantine because hey, just watch the film. I can get this done. And you've shown it.
yeah, exactly. I know before the season started and even up until the first game, I would sort of dread game days,
Hmm.
which is kind of, I don't know. It's kind of hard to think about that now, but I would just get so nervous because I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was still pretty new to this, and in our scrimmages we hadn't had much success. In my first scrimmage, I threw 3 picks in the first quarter. 2 of them were pick sixes.
It's okay.
Uh,
You're fine.
and but since then it was just nice to sort of get past that,
Hmm.
and build on the confidence, like you said. This year, I had a lot of support from the senior leadership. Our
Hmm.
one of our captains, Tommy Guilfoyle, who was actually all-state player. He was really helpful, and just he was my one of my he was my right guard, and so he was really helpful in just giving me, or my left guard. He was really helpful in bringing my confidence up and sort of
Hmm.
keeping me in line and building up like that.
And that's great. You were able to kind of move away from what was a bad game. Everybody has, for the most part, even the great ones, they have a bad game here or there. It could have been their first game. It could have been a middle game. It doesn't matter. Everybody has that. And it's more so to, a testament to you that you were able to not so much dwell on that one bad game and let it kind of hurt what could have been a very promising career. You built from that, you learned from it. And now you're at the point now where, your senior year, you have a lot going for you. Before we get into the schools and offers and everything else, I want to ask you about what game your junior year, because that was your first time as a full-time quarterback. When did you feel like you were comfortable at the position? It could have been, sometimes people say it's the third game of the season, the last game of the season. Sometimes it was the first series of the first game. What was it for you?
I'd say it would probably have to be in the second game,
Okay.
because first game we won 9-3 in overtime. It was scoreless in regulation. No score, and that's kind of, that just was, it's hard to get
That's
past
unheard
that.
of in Connecticut. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah, that was. And the thing we were like surprised about was the other team had hit a state record field goal
Hmm.
to give them those 3 points, and we hit like a last second one to put it in overtime, and we won that game. But I was still like, I didn't do anything in that game, so I was scared. But going into the second game, we started
Hmm.
off hot. We had a quick touchdown, and then we just started rolling from there. I ended up scoring, I think, 5 touchdowns that game, and so that really just sort of like, I just sort of really felt comfortable there. It was our first home game, and just a lot of things. The team was really excited. We were finally having success, and I think that's when I started to calm down and really just see my reads, be comfortable on the field.
Was there a game that you feel like it could have been either a game with, as you said, 5 touchdowns and you performed well, or a game where maybe you didn't have the same sort of, stats as high as what they were, but you were able to help the team win? Is there a game that jumps out to you from this past season?
Well, I think that our, I mean, we had a lot of success, but we didn't have that many close games for the most part. I think definitely Enfield would be one of those where we really had to struggle with that game because we had a really good offensive game. Defensively we struggled a lot. We ended up scoring I think 55 points, but they ended up scoring 30 or 40 something. So, but then on the other hand, we've had games where, like against Glastonbury, we won that game. I think it was 14-7. So it's been really difficult. It's been really nice having like a defense that I could really count on. And then knowing that I was able to take a little bit of the pressure off because I knew, if I was sort of having a little bit of a rough game, my defense would be able to keep me up.
The growth that you've been able to have as now a first full-time quarterback your junior year, I can only imagine with the senior year, hopefully everybody in this quarantine can end and we can go back to some sort of normalcy and be able to play at least some sort of sports. And it would be nice if, even if this lasted till the summer, you know, if it ends at that point, you can play fall football and be able to kind of, like I said, get back to that normalcy again.
Yeah, that would be. I'm really, really counting on that. Yeah.
Now, I want to ask you about how I'm sure you watch a lot of college and pro football. Is there anybody that you try to, I don't want to say idolize because I feel like, everyone has an idol, but it's hard to be able to mimic them. Is there anybody that you watch and say, okay, I'm going to take a little bit from that guy, a little bit from this guy, and try to put that into your game?
Yeah, I think a clear answer is just the confidence of Joe Burrow is something that I don't think is matched with anything you see. Like he just seems so comfortable on the field,
Hmm.
and that's something I've been trying to really like understand. If I could get to that and really feel that that
Hmm.
comfortable on the field with my players, I think that would be fantastic. But at the same time, I really love Taysom Hill because I love how he'll just really do anything for his team to win.
Hmm.
Which obviously I'd like to stay at quarterback. That's kind of different, but I still want to hold that same like sort of like sacrifice, so that if if we have to hand off the ball 50 times to win,
Hmm.
I'm great to do that. We had a game this year where we went into an under center formation where we pitch the ball either right or left, and I go and lead block for it. Like I just want to really have that ability to put the team first, like he does.
Well, I don't know if you saw, but for fantasy football, and I don't know if you do fantasy football or not,
Yeah.
but Taysom Hill is actually going to be for this year. If there's a season, he'll be put under not just his quarterback, but you can also put him as a tight end or a flex position. So
That's amazing.
that should be pretty interesting. About he may get drafted pretty high because Sean Payton's a mad genius when it comes to offensive personnel, and he finds the best to get out of his players.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's super cool that they did that.
But I like the comp too about Joe Burrow because I could see, putting a comp with the both you and him, you both have a quarterback face. I don't know if you know what that is, but just the confidence, the ease, and it doesn't look like it, with some people when you look at their face, like, oh, that guy looks mean. That guy looks like I don't want to, get him angry. But with like you and Burrow, it doesn't seem like much really bothers you. You kind of just like, yeah, okay, whatever, I'll laugh. Let me just go out and go throw up for 302 tubs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Now let's get to the schools, the interest. Talk to me about who is offered you, if anybody has, and also the interest as well.
Yeah, so it's been different than I expected just because of the whole coronavirus.
Hmm.
I was prepared for a lot of weekend trips and junior days, camp dates, and that's all been canceled. So I was able to go to a couple of junior days before it all got canceled, and then there's been like a lot of the virtual junior days, which have been good to see. But I've been talking to a lot of the NESCAC schools, so high academic, that's D3, and
Hmm.
then as well as some of the NE10, which is D2, and then a couple
Hmm.
FCS D1 schools. But my goal is to really go to like a high academic university and be able to play football.
I mean, hey, if you go to the NESCAC, I broadcast for the NESCAC.
Oh, really?
I do the games at Trinity, Wesleyan, and Connecticut College. Connecticut College doesn't have a football program, but Wesleyan and Trinity, which I'm sure you know, they
Yeah.
have football programs and they've got some dudes, let me tell you. So if you go there, who knows? Maybe I could be doing your game in the next, what, 2021, 22, whatever it is, something like that.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Who knows? Yeah, no, football there, like you said, very high academic, but
Mhm.
don't let the high academic fool, if anyone thinks, oh, they're just a learning school. No, those teams can play. It's one of the better Division III conferences, leagues, wherever you want to call it, in the country. So that's not bad, man. Seriously.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, those have probably been some of the schools I've been looking at the most in my
Is there
community
any
too.
schools or is there any schools in particular in Division III from the NESCAC that you're looking at?
I've been talking to like a few of them. Um, I really like Bowdoin, Amherst. But they've all been. I actually got a chance to visit Amherst. That was definitely super interesting. But I've been talking to Colby a lot. The NESCACs are definitely really great schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm surprised you didn't say Trinity. I'm
Well, no,
surprised.
I really too. I just I
Yeah.
was trying to.
Oh, okay. I
It
was
was
about to say because Trinity, to their credit, they find ways to keep the Connecticut kids. I know they just got a kid from Sheehan, Bogan, the running back.
yeah. He's
They managed to snipe him away from a couple schools that I thought maybe he might go there, but no, they said no, you're coming here. So who knows? 2 years from now, you could be having a pretty good running back behind you.
yeah.
No,
I really like Trinity, and I love how close it is right up the road.
no, it helps you out because helps you, helps your parents, helps your family. Whenever you become, if you step right on campus and start for them, or just in general, they can come
Mhm.
on by, like you said, right down the road and see all the home games and whatnot.
Yeah. Mhm.
The last question, and Aiden, thanks so much for being able to come on. I really do appreciate, taking time out of your busy school day and with the team and everything to be able to come on. I really do appreciate it. Is there anything for your senior year that you're looking on to improve from your junior year?
For sure. A lot of I definitely want to work on improving my field vision.
Mm-hmm.
When I look back at this season, I really struggled with the reads I had to make in the pass game mostly. And it's funny, I'll go back and watch my film like lately, especially because of the quarantine. I've just gone back and watched full games,
Mm-hmm.
like at least probably one a day. And I'll just notice I'm like, why didn't I throw that? Like I see it now. So I'm really excited because it wasn't until the last couple games that I really started to understand
Mm-hmm.
the reason even after that. So I'm really excited to sort of actually, sort of understand what I'm doing and know like what I'm supposed to be doing rather than just sort of, guessing, throwing it to the guy I think's open.
Are you going to focus on trying to throw the ball maybe a little bit more, or I shouldn't even say that because sometimes throwing the football more maybe isn't a good thing, but
Hmm.
try to avoid running, having that first instinct of, okay, I can run it. Because as you know, the less times you get hit, the better. And the more hits that you take, they accumulate. I mean, look at RG3 back with the Redskins. You could just mention, like, I know people are wondering about Lamar Jackson, but then you see guys like Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, they somehow find ways to be able to avoid those big time hits. So are you
Hmm.
going to try to do that as far as your senior year too?
Well, I think that since I've been trying to gain weight and I was pretty big last year. I was about 200 pounds to start the season,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to get up to about 225 this year.
That's a
And
good one.
so, yeah, and thank you. And so, a big threat, of our offense is
Mm-hmm.
me as a power back. And so, I'm as much as my coaches don't always love it, I sort of look for contact. I'm gonna try and get that extra yard. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that, like for the moment, or at least last year, it worked pretty well. And because I think that's something I can bring to the table as a power runner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not really like I'll avoid unnecessary hits for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a play like a 4th and 2, it's a QB blast. I'm gonna put my head down and get that first down.
See, now you have me intrigued. You just said that you're looking for contact, but you want to make sure that you protect yourself. Is there any sort of, I mean, again, I didn't play football, so, I'm learning from you and everyone else who I talk to about the game of football and kind of the logistics and everything else. For you, how are you going to avoid the big time hit? Is there anything in particular that you can do?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for the most part, I don't like I won't get hit too hard because I think the biggest hits, are from those huge linemen that I at least like those hits that I
Those D
would
tackles like to eat. They hit
yeah
hard.
they land on you, and that's just not fun. But
No.
So for it's pretty nice because I have a really good offensive line, so I'm
Mhm,
not getting sacked all that much. And so when I run for the most part, if I get hit by a lineman,
mhm,
it'll be like a shoestring tackle if they got by a leg, if they got by a block. So
mhm.
for the most part, I'm pretty protected from that. And besides that, like I'm not really that afraid of contact because, like I said, I'm trying to get my weight up to be as big as I can. I'm just like I'll just try and avoid an unnecessary hit.
Well, I think it
Like
helps though too, because like you're 6'1". I'm sure you're gonna keep growing. So let's say let's say by the time the end of your senior year, you're 6'4", 235, let's say 225. There's not a lot of people that big as far as the high school level in Connecticut. So, I think for you, I think it's a good test if you try to practice that now, because when you go to the next level, no matter if it's any 10, the NESCAC or whatever conference league, whatever you want to call it, you're going to be facing some big guys who they're grown men and
yeah,
they're going to smell blood in the water. So if you get, let's say you take a big time hit and you show fear, they're going to keep coming after you. But if you get, do it, continue doing what you're doing, I think you'll be fine, man.
thanks. Yeah, I think kind of noticed last year is like you said with showing fear. I think a lot of the players we played didn't expect that like a running quarterback or at least a quarterback that'll go into a hit. And so I don't know. I think I might have gotten a little bit of a benefit of being a first year player because a lot of the players I think weren't expecting me to run into them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to avoid some big hits because I felt as though a lot of the players sort of would go in thinking they were tackling a quarterback
Mm-hmm.
and not expect me to keep running at them. But definitely, as I move on and into college, I'm probably gonna have to work on sliding a little bit, or at least not taking the biggest hits.
Well, just talk to the baseball coach. Ask him if he could teach you how to slide a little bit. I mean, it's okay. I'm sure he would love that.
Well, our head football coach actually was the head baseball coach for a while.
Boom. So there you go. Figure something out. See if he can show you some videos or YouTube how to slide or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But Aiden, thanks so much. I really do appreciate again for you to be able to come on. You're always welcome anytime, either before the season, during the season, after the season. The door to be able to come on to the show is always open for you.
All right, thank you so much.
Now, I'll wrap things up here on the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.